One of the most common questions that we received for the previous version of Inputflow was, how do we style these radio buttons? And especially if someone clicks or selects a radio button, how do I make it appear different from the other ones? So this active state. In this case, if I click Endurance, you can see the Endurance radio button gets lighter than the other radio buttons. And that is why in the new version of Inputflow, there is a nice little feature for that will make your life a lot easier in that regard. To show this to you, I'm going to switch back to Inputflow. And right here, I have these radio buttons here. And I'm going to expand this a little bit. So these are radio buttons. They have a little different class than usual, but this is if I quickly add a new Webflow radio button, you can see the structure. So right here, you can see a Webflow radio button, how it looks like by default. We have the radio label, then the radio icon, and then the radio button field. This is kind of a wrapper element. And this is exactly the same how this radio button here is structured. It is just styled a little more beautifully. So the form radio content is the wrapper element, the radio icon is hidden, and the label is this text right here. So there's not too much difference from the normal one, just styled a little differently. But now, how do we add the active state so that when someone clicks on such a radio button, that it changes the style? Well, you just select the radio button field and add an isActive class like I already did here. So I added an isActive combo class. And then you can style this combo class however you want. In this case, I changed the background a little bit to make it appear a little lighter, a little more prominent. But you can change the styling however you want. You could, for example, say if it is active, I don't know, I want to rotate it by a certain amount of degrees, just a random example. You can do whatever you want with your active class. But in this case, I'm just going to make it a little bit lighter. And I think I also added a lighter border so that it is easy visible that this is the currently selected radio button. And then once you have added this isActive class, all you have to do is you publish your project. And then what Inputflow will do is, now this is important, do not remove this isActive class. You have to have it on one radio button. Otherwise, the whole thing will not work. What Inputflow will do is, once the page has loaded, it will remove this combo class, but keep it in memory, so that by default, all radio buttons are in their normal state, in their non-selected state. And as soon as you make the selection, Inputflow adds this isActive class. Here on the live side, if I click the physique, now this physique field has the isActive class. If I click on strength, the strength field has the isActive class. And Inputflow automatically removes it from the physique one. And if I click on endurance, it adds it to the endurance and automatically removes it from the strength one. This also works with checkboxes. So if you do the same thing with checkboxes where multiple selections can be made, the same idea applies. You just add this isActive combo class and Inputflow will then manage it for you. Now, one question that you may ask is, wait a minute, I have such a combo class, but I don't want to name it isActive. I have a completely different naming scheme. And that is totally fine. You can just click on the form editor where you create the multi-step functionality, go to the form settings, and here you have a setting called Active Class for Radio Buttons and Checkboxes. Decide which combo class should be added to radio buttons and checkboxes and their parent elements once they are checked. And by default, it is the isActive combo class, but you can put anything that you want to put here. If you want to put something like, I don't know, checkbox __ selected, then you could do that. And then this would be the name of the combo class. And then you would also have to name this combo class right here the same. But I'm going to put it back to isActive because that's my naming scheme that I use right here. So that's the general idea. And this way you can easily style your active states and make your forms much more engaging.